Hello, my name is Antonette and welcome to my channel. I'm very happy to see you. So again, my name is Antonette. Nice to meet you. I'm 33 years old. I live in Toronto. I'm currently living in Scarborough, where I was born and raised. And today I'm going to talk about why I started a YouTube channel at this chapter of my life, at this age, in my 30s. Why did I start a YouTube channel in my 30s? Okay, so in front of me, I do have my cup of tea. I have decaf green tea because I do feel like I've never done a sit-down video like this before where I'm just talking to the camera, and even now, so I'm gonna warn you now, I will be switching back and forth between the screen and the lens because I never talk to the lens like this and I'm still getting used to it. So my habit would be to look at the screen. But yeah, I just wanted this to feel like a casual chit chat. Actually, maybe it is distracting for me to be eating, but I might sip my tea. So I have some notes here on my iPad that I will be referring to. I have written down just like talking points that I wanted to address in this video. So if you see me looking over here, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So the first thing I have is when I created my YouTube channel. So I actually created my channel in September 2022. So it has been exactly 2 years since I've had a YouTube channel, but I still feel very new to YouTube and vlogging because I haven't been vlogging and uploading in that whole time span. I actually didn't vlog or upload for over a year between the time that I started my channel and now. So that is why I still feel new and why I feel like it hasn't been that long, because 2 years on YouTube is actually a long time if someone is a consistent poster, but because I have not been, yeah, I feel like it's still new to me. So it has been 2 years. I always knew, I'm looking at my notes now because I already forgot things that I wanted to talk about and say, but when I created my channel 2 years ago, I always knew that I wanted to create lifestyle vlogs because I feel like lifestyle is a very broad category. It's basically just anything to do with living whatever lifestyle you choose to live. So I felt like I could just post things about my life, everyday things that I care about, and it could all just fall into a broad category of lifestyle. I knew that I couldn't niche myself, and before I started my channel I was watching a lot of videos on how to start a YouTube channel and how to be successful as a YouTuber, but it all seemed very business-like, and for me creating my YouTube was more like a personal choice and for my personal fulfillment, because I didn't feel, and I still don't feel like I'm really an expert in anything. So I don't feel like I can niche my channel in a way that I can provide information to people who want to learn about a specific topic. So that's why I knew that I was going to make lifestyle vlogs. So why I started my channel, or how my channel started. So 2 years ago when I created my YouTube channel, I was going through a very transitional period in my life. I had just moved back in with my parents. I had a very difficult experience during COVID and it really affected me like emotionally. Basically, by the time that I moved back in with my parents, I felt like a shell of myself. I felt like I didn't know who I was. I felt like I didn't want to go back to who I had been in the past before this experience, and I didn't know where I wanted to go from there. I just felt really lost. So I was very actively exploring and discovering the kind of person I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, and what I wanted my life to look like. So I was going through that period, and me creating my YouTube channel came from a need, honestly, a need and a desire to create a space for myself in the world. And my very first video actually was a room makeover for this room that I'm in now, which I refer to as my studio. So when I moved back home to my parents' house, this was basically a spare bedroom. It was used for storage. I asked my parents if I could turn it into a space for myself, and they let me use the space since it wasn't being used anyway, as long as I basically did everything myself. So I painted it. Well, first I cleared everything out, got rid of any junk, put away anything that was still useful, in the basement and I just painted it and made this space my own. I'm also pursuing a career in acting, so it was important for me to have a space where I could film auditions. So this wall behind me where I never film is purposely left blank because it is the backdrop for my auditions when I film self-tapes. So me making over this space was basically the first pivotal step in my journey since moving back home of finding myself, creating a space for myself. And I also created YouTube to document my journey. And I remember at the time someone mentioning that they had read that people create vlogs because they feel that they have something they want to say but they don't know how to say it, they don't have a means to say it, or maybe they don't have anyone to say it to in their real life, so they turn to vlogging. And that has always stuck with me because I have always been surrounded by friends and family. I have always had people to talk to and reach out to, but during that time I didn't want to talk to anyone about my experiences, especially people who knew me before the experience. I feel like because it just felt like it's very different when you're talking to a camera, because I went to film school for acting and I studied acting on camera and I'm pursuing a career where there's literally a camera in my face. I've never felt self-conscious talking to a camera. So I started this channel and I started specifically documenting this room makeover because for me that was almost like me establishing a place for myself, a place where I can start and a place where I can also just be. I made this studio with the intention of filming my auditions here, but I also wanted a space where I could work, where I could just hang out. I could just watch things on my projector. There's a reason there's a couch here, because I knew that I wanted to be able to just hang out and lounge in here. And then I have my desk, which I actually don't use to work, but that was what this space was for me. So me creating my vlogs and me making over this room, that was basically me establishing that I am finding my place. And the rest of the vlogs that I started to make after I finished this room makeover were really just about me living at the time. So I would not consider myself an introvert. Ever since I was a kid, I have always been an extroverted person, or I discovered in my adulthood that I'm actually an introverted extrovert. So I am a social person, I am extroverted, but I am very selectively extroverted, and if I could choose, I actually prefer to be by myself or to be on my own. But I also don't know if that's because I've never just been completely alone before. Even the times that I've lived outside of my parents' house, I was always living with someone. But at the time, because I was really still healing and I was still finding myself, it was hard for me to socialize, especially with people who knew me before, because I was so different before the pandemic compared to who I was at the end of the pandemic. So yeah, socializing was hard for me when I first moved back in. So that is why it was easier for me to talk to a camera, because like that person that I knew said, I did feel like I wanted to share. That's why I chose to document. That's why I chose to create a channel. I wanted to share my experience and I wanted someone to talk to, honestly. But I just didn't have anyone in my life at the time that I felt comfortable talking openly to. So that is why I chose to talk to a camera instead. Okay, so let's see what else is here. So what really pushed me ultimately to start my channel, because it was something that I was already thinking about for a while and something that I had been interested in. I'm not going to say that I always wanted to be a YouTuber, because that isn't the case. It's not even something I really considered or thought about until I was 29 or 30 years old. I'm 33 now. So when I say I was thinking about it for a while, I mean that I was thinking about it for like a few months. And what really pushed me was that I discovered a vlogger who was a lifestyle vlogger, and she actually started by creating silent vlogs, which I had never seen before, because for me at the time, vlogging meant talking to the camera. It was always someone talking to their audience. So when I came across her vlogs where she was documenting things in her life, but she wasn't showing herself and she was just writing captions at the bottom instead, that was really game-changing for me, because it made me feel like, oh, there is really nothing stopping me now. Because I feel like, and I still feel this way now, even though I am not uncomfortable talking to a camera or sitting in front of a camera, I don't always feel like talking. I don't always feel like showing myself. So it was very liberating for me to understand that you can still vlog without showing yourself and without talking. So once I discovered her vlogs and I started to watch her vlogs, and the reason why she didn't show herself was because she was really nervous in front of a camera. But now she's been a vlogger for I would say 3 or 4 years now, and I have been watching her for the last at least 2 or 3 years. And now she talks to her camera really confidently. She features herself in every vlog that she does, and it has just been really inspiring, honestly, to watch her progression and to see how she grew and developed, how she found her style in terms of vlogging, and to see her really commit to it even though she was in the beginning afraid to be on camera, and how she was very consistent with it. So I would say that finding her channel was really like the last push that I needed to actually just start my channel. So yeah, here I am. So about the break. So like I said, I have had my channel for 2 years now, but I still consider myself new because I don't have a lot of videos. I was not consistent in posting, which I give myself grace for. At the time, I was genuinely going through something difficult, and even though vlogging was very liberating for me and it was creatively fulfilling as a person who considers themselves to be a creative, which I have my whole life considered myself a creative person, even the creative process of vlogging has been really fulfilling for me. It is very time consuming, and at the time that I started, I had a 10-year-old MacBook, which was very slow, but I would still like for hours and hours edit and upload my vlogs. And then I did upgrade my MacBook last year, or about a year ago, so I have a new one now that's a lot faster. And when I started my channel, I didn't share it publicly. I only shared it with my family and very select friends. So I didn't start it with the intention that like, okay, I'm gonna be a vlogger now. Like I didn't start it because I wanted the whole world to see what I was doing. I really, for me, like I said, it was really just a personal thing that I feel like I needed to do for myself. It was almost like a rite of passage for me to create that channel, because it was like, okay, I'm not afraid to do something like this. And it's so crazy to talk about because before the pandemic I was such a different person. I wasn't afraid of anything before the pandemic, almost to a fault, where I would literally be so outspoken that the things I said could be considered ignorant or even just completely inappropriate. So when I say that I was a different person before the pandemic, I was a different person. So me creating my channel was always a personal thing for me to know that I could do it, that I wasn't afraid to do it. So I didn't share it publicly at first because I wasn't creating my channel to try to build an audience. I was doing it out of my own personal growth and fulfillment. And if people happen to find it and take the time to appreciate and watch my work that I spent hours creating, that meant a lot to me. But I wasn't going to ask people to do that. Even when I shared it with my family, I don't even remember how I mentioned it. I think I just mentioned that I was doing it, and then more of them found out and asked to see it. And because I started to socialize more, reconnect with old friends, I would have my camera out and I would ask, are you okay with me vlogging this? And then obviously it would become a conversation with, yeah, like I'm like starting to vlog, and they would ask to see my stuff. So that is how I would share it. And I also felt like I was still exploring. Like it's almost like when you have like a painting, you're not ready to show your painting until it's complete, because during the process you feel like it's not done yet, so you don't want people to see it. So that's what I felt like, where my channel was still a work in progress. I was still finding my style. I was still also learning to be comfortable with telling people that I was even doing it, because that in itself is like an awkward thing to tell people, like, oh yeah, like I started vlogging on YouTube at the age of 30, and it's like, why? Okay, I had a bit of my snack, sorry, so I might have things in my teeth, but I'm just gonna have a sip of my tea. Okay, so yeah, like I said, when I created my channel, it was more for me. It was more for my own personal growth and development. But as I started sharing with family and friends, they were more encouraging of me sharing publicly. And they would ask me like, oh, why don't you share these? Why are you so private with them? And I told them like, yeah, I don't feel ready. But like, you know, you can never be ready. And it's like, I'm already taking the step of putting it on like a public forum. They really felt like I should share it, which I really appreciated, because it is always nice to have people encourage you when you're pursuing something, but also for them to stand by it and support you and tell you like, no, you should keep going. Like, that was really encouraging for me. And I basically made a deal and said that when I create 10 vlogs, I will share publicly on my Instagram or my Facebook or both, and I would let people know that I'm like doing this vlogging thing. So yeah, that was like a deal I made. And after I uploaded my 9th video, I chickened out and I just stopped posting, because I was always so aware that the next video I posted after that, I would have to post publicly or share publicly, because I said that I would, and nothing ever felt good enough for me to share publicly. So I just stopped vlogging. I stopped posting, and it wasn't until over a year later that I picked it up again, which brings me to why I'm still doing it now, or I guess more accurately, why I'm continuing to do YouTube and do my channel. Because since I started YouTube, I feel like I have already found myself. For me, it's not about finding a place for myself or establishing or creating a place for myself anymore. I don't feel like I need the vlogs the way that I needed them when I first started, but I always knew that I wanted to go back to it. It was always something that I knew that I wanted to get back to, because I always genuinely loved it creatively. It was just always fulfilling for me, and it always felt really, it feels really, honestly, like comforting, reassuring to have a place that's yours. And I feel like for me, as I've gotten older, I've stopped using things like Instagram and Facebook more and more, where I was really active with something like Instagram in my 20s. I feel like YouTube just feels so much more, it feels more like finding your people, because on Instagram it's just photos, and yes, it's nice to like see what people do and to see aesthetic photos and even like videos and reels and stuff. But I feel like because YouTube is traditionally long form content, when you watch a video, it's basically like a commitment, and you're taking time to watch someone's video. So when you choose to watch a video, you're choosing that experience, you're choosing to share that experience that someone created for you, and it's not just like a mindless scroll. I know they have YouTube shorts now, but the content that I'm referring to is vlogs, long form content. So for me, I find YouTube more creatively fulfilling and just more personally fulfilling. As someone who uses the internet, I prefer YouTube over Instagram. So I always knew that I wanted to go back to creating YouTube videos. But again, in the back of my head, I knew that whatever video I created, if I decided to get back into vlogging, I would have to share it publicly, because I said that I would, and I had to keep my word. So it took me a while, but finally, after more than a year, I decided to just gonna do it. So I started filming in the spring of this year. It was actually May, my birthday month. And I guess that maybe gave me a little more inspiration to do it, because every year when it's close to my birthday, I always get really like introspective and reflect on my life and what I've done in the last year and what I would like in the next year. And whenever I would think about what I wanted in my future, whether it was short-term or long-term, I always imagined that I wanted to be vlogging again. So I finally decided to start doing it again, and I have been trying to remain consistent since I started vlogging again and posting again. And yes, I did share my first vlog, my 10th official video on YouTube, which was very like it was nerve-wracking for me, but I feel like it was more nerve-wracking before I finished editing, because I was like, oh my gosh, like this, I'm gonna share this publicly, like while I was editing. But once it was done and it was like time for me to share it, I felt like it's not that serious. Like, most people who see my post won't even care enough to watch it. So I shared it, and then I shared it on my Facebook, and then when I made my next vlog the week after, I shared that on my Instagram. So I did get more views, but I didn't get more subscribers. And I feel like it's because people who know me in my personal life who would be interested in the content I make already are subscribed to me. They're mostly my family and friends who are like-minded and have similar interests as me. But I feel like the people that I know that I have like on social media are mostly people that I've known from like high school, or like people that I meet because I'm pursuing acting. I network a lot and I meet other actors, so they would check out my stuff, but they might not subscribe to it because it has nothing to do with acting. This is actually my first video on my channel where I have mentioned that I am pursuing a career in acting. I have been pursuing it since 2020, the end of 2020, so it will be 4 years for me by the end of this year. And I have considered whether or not I would like to make videos about that, but I don't know. I wanted my channel to be more about me. Especially when I started my channel, I was actually taking a break from auditioning because it was just, I just needed time. I was not in a good place emotionally and mentally, so I actually took a break from auditioning. I'm so sorry, you can hear my dad in the background coughing, but this is the reality of someone who still lives with their parents and tries to make videos for YouTube. But even though my pursuit towards acting is a pretty substantial part of my life, I just feel like I wanted my content to be more about me as a person. So that is why I don't talk about or show anything about my acting or my pursuit of an acting career. But I mean, if that would be something that people would be interested in, I'm starting to come around to the idea of talking about it and making content about it, so that's why I'm mentioning it now. But yeah, we'll see. That actually leads to my next point, which is plans. So my plans with my YouTube channel, as I said, I do plan to continue. And like I said, I never had plans to monetize. I never created videos with the intention of gaining as many subscribers as possible, but now that I feel like I am in a place where I can give, even though I don't really have a following, I still feel the responsibility of creating for others, where now that I'm publicly sharing my videos, I'm acknowledging that there are other people who are watching the things that I make, and it's not just people who already know me and appreciate me or care about me. It's strangers, people who don't know anything about me, and if they take the time to watch my stuff, that is, oh my god, I'm actually getting emotional. That's like really kind of them, and I genuinely appreciate that. And I feel like if I'm going to continue making videos and creating content, then I have to be mindful of creating things that people continue to appreciate and find value in, but obviously to a point that I'm comfortable with, because I still want to feel personally fulfilled with everything that I create, every video that I make, and everything that I share. That being said, I do want to continue creating lifestyle vlogs. It is difficult not having my own place. I'm very fortunate that I have this room, at least, where I can film my content, and I mostly film stuff like outside of the house anyway. But I would eventually love to be able to film content of like my daily life when I have my own place. I do look forward to being able to film all the kinds of content that I want to create when I have my own space and apartment. But for the meantime, I am thinking of different things that I can film and create. But for the most part, I definitely want my content to mostly be lifestyle content. And I've always wanted my vlogs to feel like literally just spending time with someone. And it's funny because that's what it felt like for me when I first started creating them. It felt like I was just spending time with someone. And that's what I want it to feel like when someone watches my vlogs, because back during the pandemic, when I was going through a really difficult time and I was feeling, oh my god, sorry, I'm getting emotional. Back when I was feeling like really lost and like really sad and like lonely, and I discovered lifestyle vlogs, it was really, it's really important for me to continue creating lifestyle vlogs, because when I first discovered them during the pandemic, because it felt like spending time with someone during a time that was so lonely and difficult for not even just me, for a lot of people. Discovering these vlogs and these vloggers who consistently created this content, it meant a lot to me, because every time I would see a new vlog of theirs, it literally felt like seeing a friend, spending time with a friend. And that feeling, like I still feel it. I still follow the same vloggers that I watched during that time because of how familiar they feel to me. And I still enjoy their content, and I feel very inspired by their content. And if I can create content like that, that provides that same feeling, or any feeling for someone watching that feels valuable to them, then that is my goal. That is what I want my content to feel like. I want it to feel like when you watch it, you're not alone. That sounds so cheesy, but like that's what I want it to feel like. So, and I hope it does feel that way. And I also will say that when I create that content, it also feels that way, that I feel like I'm not alone. So it could be like a full circle thing, you know, we can like work together. Yeah, that is what I want my channel to feel like, what I want my content to be like. But I obviously, after filming this, I am open to also doing sit-down videos. Like I said, I don't have any expertise in anything that I feel like I can continuously create content on, but because I have been pursuing acting for 4 years, I've also been working as a background performer for film and television for the last year. I do have knowledge that I can still share for anyone who is interested, curious, or for anyone who wants to pursue that type of career or anything in that industry. I also, because I've been networking so much, I also have resources so I can provide information on things like that. But like I said, I do want this channel to mostly be lifestyle content and my life outside of my pursuit of acting. I mean, I'll probably mention it every now and then, especially if I'm like going to set or working that day or something. If I'm doing like a week in my life, I might like mention it. But another thing about filming actor content is I can't post anything about set or like even my costume or anything like that unless the production has already come out. So you won't be able to see anything like that, unfortunately. If you are interested in that content, I'm sorry, I won't be able to post or share anything like that. But if you want tips or information on how to start in this kind of career, then let me know and I would be open to filming something like that. I think I already have an idea of a video that I would like to film about my experience as a background performer now that I have been doing it for a year. So that might be my next sit down video. We'll see. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about are my inspirations. The YouTubers that I found during the pandemic who provided a space for me at the time when I was feeling really lonely, and who genuinely inspired me to create my own channel, and who still inspire me today. I still watch their content actively. So yeah, I just wanted to name all three of them. Are completely different from each other, by the way, but they are still the three YouTubers, vloggers, lifestyle vloggers that I watch the most consistently whenever they post something new. So the first vlogger is Michelle Choi. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Michelle Choi and her content. She has been vlogging since she was a student in Korea, maybe like 7 years ago, and she's been very consistent with it. And she's also been very open about wanting to have been a YouTuber since she was in high school. So it's actually amazing that she, first of all, decided to actually pursue it, and second of all, that she's actually extremely successful in it, and she is very committed to it. She was an exchange or international student in university in Korea. She started her channel during that time, and she's just been consistently posting, and now she has a very large following. She's living in New York. She has been there for a few years now, and I would say that YouTube is her main career, I guess. Sorry, I would like to apologize. I actually totally forgot to use my ring light because I don't normally use it when I talk to the camera, but I also don't normally sit in front of the camera for like a prolonged period of time. So I hope the lighting looks okay and it hasn't been too distracting to listen to me talk this whole video, but I feel like it's like too late now. Is it too late? Should I just do it? Okay, I think I'll just do it. Hang on. Okay, so I have my ring light on now. I don't know if this lighting is like too harsh now. I can bring it down a little, but that seems too dark. Okay, I'm just gonna hope that I don't look completely washed out, but I'm trying to take this more seriously. So I actually also have a mic, but I couldn't figure out a way to connect it to my camera, so here we are. But okay, I'm back with my ring light. So back to my three inspirational YouTubers. So like I said, Michelle Choi. So she has been vlogging for a really long time. She's come such a long way. I feel like her content is like the epitome of lifestyle vlogs on YouTube. And honestly, she has probably been my biggest inspiration for vlogging, in the sense that she's known for her living alone videos, which can't relate, but the most valuable thing that I've learned from Michelle's vlogs and her vlogging style is that her vlogs have shown me that you don't have to film anything. I'm not going to say her vlogs aren't interesting. They are. They're still engaging and still interesting. Obviously, that's why she has such a big following. But her vlogs have shown me that you can literally just do like everyday things. Like, she just films in her apartment, living alone, and she films like washing the dishes or like cooking or things she does around the house, and it's still engaging. So her vlogs have definitely been the biggest inspiration for me in terms of not being afraid to just film my life. And I also feel like because of the nature of her content, because it is just her living literally things she does around the house, things she does on a daily basis, especially during that time when I first discovered her vlogs were, I found a lot of comfort in them, because it wasn't like I wasn't watching someone who was trying to show me an aspirational lifestyle, or like trying to tell me that I needed to do anything more than I was already doing to live a fulfilling life. Like, I could literally just exist, take care of the house, cook, eat good food, and be happy and feel fulfilled, and I didn't have to be out every weekend doing something cool. So that's why her vlogs, they have like a special place in my heart because of the time that I discovered them, the nature of her content, and to this day I still keep up with her content, because like I said, when you find a vlogger that resonates with you every time you watch their new content, it genuinely feels like catching up with a friend. She has no idea who I am, but for me as a viewer, it really feels like just catching up, just hanging out, and it's a feeling that I really appreciate. It's an experience for me that I appreciate. So she gets number 1. So the second vlogger or YouTuber that is an inspiration for me is named Annika. I don't think she's ever written her last name anywhere on her channel, but her channel is called Annika's Leaf, and she is the vlogger that I mentioned who started with silent vlogs because she didn't feel comfortable being on camera. So she is another really big inspiration for me, because she is the one who literally helped me see that I don't have to be on camera to still vlog. I can just document, I can write captions, maybe do voiceovers, but I don't have to appear on camera every time I wanted to make a video. So that was really game-changing for me. Yeah, I've been watching her vlogs. She started vlogging during the pandemic, and I have been watching her vlogs since, and the level of growth that she has achieved is in and of itself an inspiration. Not even just for someone who is embarking on this journey of creating vlogs and YouTube content, but just as a person, to see how much she's grown, just how much she's established for herself. She was really young when she started. I think she was still in university when she started, again, actually like Michelle, and now she's like in her mid-20s. She's like an adult now, and it's just been so inspiring to watch her journey, her growth. She also started vlogging while she was living at home with her parents, and she's since gotten her own apartment, and she also has, since starting YouTube, she has started her own small business. She has a very successful stationery sticker shop. She started doing digital illustration on the iPad, and she even documented when she started, and she has just cultivated that skill and found a way to monetize it in a fulfilling way that also helps her connect with her viewers in a way separate from YouTube, on another level. So I find all of that genuinely inspiring, but also the fact that she takes the time to continue documenting, continue creating content with her viewers in mind. I just feel like it's really admirable and really touching. Like, I am definitely striving toward that, and I would feel very honored to be able to even just achieve a fraction of that. Like, it's been really inspiring to watch, and I also continue to watch her content regularly every time she posts. And again, because I have been watching her since she started, since she was, you know, like a completely different person than she is now, to see her whole growth, and because I've watched her whole growth as a viewer, of her channel, again, it feels every time that I watch her, it does genuinely feel like I'm spending time with someone that I know and someone that I it feels weird to claim this, but someone who I feel very proud of. Every time she achieves something and grows a little more, it just like makes me feel like I'm rooting for her, you know what I mean? Like I am very happy and honored to support her and her work. So she is number 2 on my list. And there are definitely other vloggers that I watch besides these 3. These are just my top 3. And number 3 is gonna feel like a completely different direction, because the first 2 vloggers I mentioned are self-proclaimed introverts, and they live very like simple, quiet, like introverted lives. But the third vlogger that I'm going to mention, who is one of my top 3 inspirational YouTubers, is Peyton Sarton. And she for a long time lived in LA, and her journey into vlogging and YouTube is very different. So she actually started as a blogger, like a traditional blogger on the computer back in 2016. See, I talk about these people like I know them because I know so many details about them because I have watched all of their content. But she started as a blogger traditionally. So before I discovered lifestyle vlogs during the pandemic, Peyton is what I imagined a vlogger was at the time, which was basically an influencer who made videos on YouTube about like okay, if you hear background noises, I'm very sorry, but my family it's like evening now. My family is very active and it's gonna be dinner time soon, and I don't want to stop recording. I'm sorry, is that selfish of me? But I'm going to continue. If you hear anything in the background, please disregard, and I hope it doesn't disrupt your experience of watching this video as my mom literally starts talking. Okay, I'm out of breath again because I went downstairs to say hi to my mom. So basically, Peyton is what you would imagine a vlogger to have been like before the pandemic. So she started as a blogger, fashion blogger, and she would recommend beauty products and stuff. And then obviously with the nature of social media, blogging became more and more obsolete, and with the rise of Instagram, that type of field transitioned to what we now know as influencers. So by definition, and she also proclaims it herself reluctantly, but she is an influencer, a fashion beauty influencer. She goes to like Revolve events, she goes to Coachella, Fashion Week, so she is involved in that sphere of vlogging and creating content. And the thing that I appreciate about her is that she knows that by definition that's what she is, an influencer, but she hates it because that's not really who she is. And like, again, I don't know these people personally, I just know them from watching their content. The reason that Peyton's content resonates with me is because even though on the surface she is this type of person described to be an influencer by trade and lifestyle, I guess, she is very, honestly, I feel like she's very real. She's always very honest in her videos, and she's very open about talking about her life and experiences that she goes through. But what I really admire about her is that even though a lot of the people in her life grew up wealthy from very affluent families, she is very much self-made. Even if whatever her tax bracket is higher than average, that wasn't something she experienced until she was already like in high school. And even with her brand now, she created everything from scratch. So she very openly talks about when she started blogging, she moved from her hometown to LA. It was like a really random career transition at the time because she was in law school before this. She was working towards a career in law, but she decided when she learned more and more about the American justice and legal system. This is her quotes, by the way. I'm not American, I'm Canadian, so I have no idea about the American justice system, but she decided that wasn't the path for her anymore. So she started pursuing blogging as a fashion blogger, and she just like worked her way up. Like, she says how in her first month she made like $400 off of blogging, and she was always hustling, finding different streams of income in order to be able to support herself. So I really respect her work ethic and her dedication and her independence for her to even make that decision and to stick by it since she was, again, in her early 20s. I feel like it's funny, all these vloggers that I watch now started this road while they were like in university or around university age. So that's interesting. Maybe that does say something about the kind of person that resonates with me or that I feel connected to. So I really respect her hustle, her work ethic, and her dedication to being true to herself and being her authentic self and doing what feels right to her. And another reason why I admire her is because from that, I feel like her values and the things that she promotes, like she fights for women's rights. She's very open about things that she thinks is wrong in society towards women. And she really advocates for women to be authentic and to not take shit, honestly. That's like, I feel like that's her brand, is just like, don't take shit. Being a woman, like she literally writes in her bio that her content is for the girls. Like she roots for the girls and she doesn't want any ladies, any women to take shit from anybody, not even other women. So even if on the surface her content is very different from the other two vloggers that I follow, and even though she's basically, her job is to be an influencer and to promote like fashion and beauty products, I feel like what comes through with her content and what resonates with me is that she is very strongly motivated by justice. Just like knowing that she even was pursuing a career in law and that she abandoned that aspiration because she saw so many injustices with that field, that to me already says enough of who she is as a person. And honestly, who she is as a person really reminds me of who I used to be before the pandemic, before I went through a difficult experience, or at least the person that I wanted to be. Like if you asked me 5 years ago if I had to start creating content, what would it be? I feel like I would create the exact same kinds of content that Peyton Sarton creates. Okay, I'm back again because I had to help my mom with the TV. So literally this is my reality. If you've ever watched any of my vlogs, you would probably see that I don't talk to the camera often, at least not for prolonged periods of time, and it is because there will always be something that interrupts the filming, or I always have to step out, or like there's always background noise. So this is the reality. If you want more talking vlogs like this from me, let me know. Okay, before my camera dies, I just want to say thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. If you've watched any part of this video, thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for clicking. I do hope that this video has provided some kind of value to you as the watcher. I hope it's helped you learn a little bit more about me. It's definitely helped me be more open and vulnerable and inspires me to do so going forward. But yeah, if you want to see, I would like to make more content like this where I just sit down and chat about a certain subject. If you would be interested in me talking about my experience pursuing acting and my experience working as a background performer, let me know. But otherwise, I hope that you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm like low-key panicking inside. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you check out the rest of my content, and I hope to see you again soon. And if you want to pursue YouTube yourself, I hope that you do. I hope that you find the courage to, and I hope that you find the success that you deserve. Thank you so much, and yeah, I hope we'll see you again soon. Bye.